So I have picked Nick Ball to beat Sam Goodman this weekend, but I honestly do believe Sam Goodman has got a great chance to pull off the upset against Nick Ball. And you cannot underestimate him in this fight, and you cannot write him off. And I feel like there is definitely a case that you can make for picking him to win this fight against Nick Ball. He has got a good chance. And if he does win, if I mean, I probably wouldn't class it as an upset myself, but it would be an upset based on like what the odds makers are saying and that. So let's go on to why Sam Goodman could upset Nick Ball this weekend, because I believe it is very, very, very possible. I mean, look, first, my prediction for the fight, as I said in my prediction video, was that I believe Nick Ball's going to win this fight in rounds 10 or 11. I think Nick Ball will be able to eventually break Goodman to the body. But I believe beforehand, Sam Goodman could be up on the cards when Nick Ball does eventually get the finish. But that might not happen, and Sam Goodman could end up getting a decision win. I don't see a scenario where Sam Goodman ends up knocking out Nick Ball, but I see a scenario where he could be able to nick something on the scorecards against Nick Ball and be able to outpoint him and be able to be slightly more convincing than Ball and make Ball look messy compared to Goodman's, clean, precise work. And no matter what, I feel like that's what it's going to look. I feel like Nick Ball might be messy in the fight, and and Sam Goodman might end up being more precise. And that's definitely what will happen in the fight. But I just think Nick Ball might end up finishing him. But that might not happen, and I won't be surprised if Nick Ball doesn't finish him, because I believe Goodman can win. And I think Goodman overall is a very good, clean, technical boxer. He is. He's got a good active jab. He does move very well. And he's going to be able to keep Nick Ball off him. And he's going to be able to frustrate him. 100% he's going to be able to frustrate Nick Ball at points in this fight. And if he can keep him on the edge of that jab and keep him at mid-range, then that's going to be very, very, very good for Sam Goodman if he can keep this fight in mid-range. But he needs to be strong behind that backhand, Sam Goodman. And I believe he has got underrated power, and I believe he has got power that can make you think. But I wouldn't say it's just the power. I would say it's the timing of Sam Goodman, which I do rate quite highly, to be honest with you. He does time you well on the end of that right hand. And he's got the reach advantage here. And, overall, he is a much cleaner technical boxer than what Ball is. He does have a better boxing IQ than what Nick Ball does. And overall, he could pose a better challenge than what some of these other guys do. Sam Goodman is moving up in weight for this fight as well. So he is naturally smaller than Ball, which can mean he is a naturally quicker guy than what Nick Ball is. Naturally quicker than him. He might come at Nick Ball with a pace that Ball hasn't seen yet. So, again, that is something that does make things interesting. I think Sam Goodman will be on the back foot in this fight, but I don't think it's anything he hasn't seen before, though. And if you think about it as well, he's been training for months and months and months to be fighting a fighter where he's obviously going to get put on the back foot. He had a very long training camp for Naoya Inoue. Obviously, they didn't end up happening, but it was long because it got rescheduled twice. And he was obviously going to be put on the back foot in that fight against Inoue. And he's obviously going to have to box on the back foot against Nick Ball in this fight. So he's been training to be on the back foot for quite a long time now. And I think Goodman's got good movement where it can really help him reset and create space. And that's what you need against Nick Ball. You need to be able to create space with your movement. And I believe Goodman, as I said, being the smaller man, this is an advantage, and it's going to be able to help him do that. Obviously, you look at guys like Ray Vargas, who Nick Ball's been in there with, who's, a naturally bigger guy than what Nick Ball was. He couldn't stay away from him because he didn't have quick enough movement. Raymond Ford was able to stay away from Nick Ball because he had good movement. Obviously, Ball pinned him down here and there, but Ford was able to keep up a good pace for the whole fight and was able to get to Nick Ball late on. And I feel like Goodman is going to be able to keep up a pace. I do. I feel like he can keep up a good pace in a fight, especially being smaller as well. But again, there's a chance he could get overwhelmed, which in the end I think he will do. But he can keep up a good pace and create space, which is very important against a pressure fighter like Nick Ball, resetting, creating space, keeping calm and composed. And he has shown that he can keep a good work rate. He has, and he doesn't panic when he is under pressure. And again, that is very important when you're up against someone like Nick Ball. But that said, though, he hasn't seen someone like Nick Ball's pressure, though. That's the thing. Because even though, again, like someone like Inoue, if he was to fight him, it's very different going up against Nick Ball. Because Nick Ball's a completely different pressure fighter than a lot of these guys. But again, Nick Ball's work could get a bit repetitive for Sam Goodman, and Sam Goodman could eventually figure him out, you never know, and be able to take over. And as I've said about Goodman's timing, it is very good. And he could frustrate Nick Ball walking onto something. And if Ball comes in with the same movements all the time, Sam Goodman can just always keep going, reset, land that straight right hand down the pipe a lot of the time in this fight. And his counters are underrated, in my opinion, Sam Goodman. But again, the question is, and I feel like why he is a big underdog going into this fight, Goodman, is because he hasn't fought at the level of Nick Ball yet. He hasn't seen that yet. But that's why it's going to be interesting. But I do believe that Sam Goodman has got a style which is going to be tough for Nick Ball. Goodman is good and is quick with the counters. And I'm not sure if Ball has seen anyone as quick as Sam Goodman yet in his career. I feel like an upset is very, very, very possible here. I do. I feel like it's very, very, very possible. Sam Goodman is, of course, the bigger man in this fight as well. But weight-wise, he is naturally smaller than what Nick Ball is. And that's different for Nick Ball. He hasn't really seen that lows in his career before. He hasn't really seen a man who is in weight naturally smaller than him. Obviously, he's going to be bigger than Nick Ball in there on the night, you know, height-wise, all that, and possibly weight. I mean, it's going to be very similar. But Goodman's a slim guy, and I think, and, you know, overall, not as tall as some of Nick Ball's previous opponents. I feel like it could be a bit more of the unknown for Nick Ball here, in my opinion, which could make things interesting. But I really do think Sam Goodman could pull off the upset in this fight against Nick Ball.